Hi, how are you? Welcome back to the Trust Your Worth podcast, the podcast that helps you tap in to the power of knowing your worth. My name is Brittany, and I am so excited for this episode. So I've been researching a ton of things, doing a lot of reading, and just trying to make sure I know all these things because I'm gearing up for this series. So these next couple batches of episodes, 32, 33, 34, and 35 are going to be about attachment theory. And today's episode specifically is about interdependence versus codependency, because dependency is going to come up a lot when it comes to attachments. When you're in relationships, there is this belief that we have to be so independent. We have to do everything by ourselves. Well, science, at least psychologist science, says no, we need people. And I'm excited to share what I've learned about needing others and how we are social creatures and that we do better together. We thrive in social environments. So I'm so excited to get into that today. Let's do it. Okay, so most of the research I've been doing on attachment theory comes from two books. And the first one is called Attached, period, The New Science of Adult Attachment and How It Can Help You Find and Keep Love. Isn't that such a nice tagline? I want to find and keep love, don't we all? This is by Amir Levine, MD, and Rachel S.F. Heller, MA. Cool. And then the second book that I am also quoting from is called Hold Me Tight by Dr. Sue Johnson. And this book is mostly about a therapy called EFT, or emotionally focused therapy. My guest in episode 35 specializes in this type of therapy, but it does focus a lot on attachment. And both these books are about being in a couple. Well, especially Hold Me Tight. It's more for people who are lovers, who are in an intimate relationship with each other. But the principles in these books can be applied to us single peeps too. There is something for everyone because we're in relationships with many different people. Even though I'm not in a romantic, significant relationship, I do have significant others in my life that, like, my life would literally feel incomplete without them. So that's why I'm so excited about attachment theory, because these things will help you in all types of relationships, in friendships, in families, even in your work relationships. Like, your lives are going to be enriched by this information. And if you've ever had the question, like, why am I the way that I am? Well, this might help you understand yourself better. And when you understand yourself better, you are able to function better because you can fix things that aren't working for you. But like, a lot of the struggle we have, I feel like, is just, we don't know what's going on with us and we need to figure it out so we can, get to our next level up. So I hope that these next batches of episodes really do help. Okay, so basically I wanted to start this episode on why we need people. How there's this fallacy that started with, I want to say, Freud. And even when we talk about natural selection, like only the strongest survive in the world. Well, sure, but like, you know who the strongest people are? People who ask for help. They're the strongest people I know. People who know their limits and then who get help with things they need help with. When it's too much and they don't know how to do it, they can find someone who knows how and then learn how to do it, or just like do it together. When we talk about evolution itself, back in our prey hunter-gatherer days, if you relied on one person, you were more likely to die. Like, if you were alone, you were more likely to die. So if you were in a packs, if you had your whole family unit that you created, this community unit, you are more likely to survive because you had people looking out for each other and the people could watch the house and keep all the younglings safe while everyone else was out gathering or doing the hunting. You were just better protected when you were depending on others. Okay, this fallacy of an idea that we need to do everything on our own, that only strong, independent people who do everything themselves are the most successful. False. No. Like, heaven knows that people who accomplished anything had a team of people behind them. Look at any book and the thanks they give. Look at a freaking movie. Like, all of the credits, that goes on for what, 10, 15 minutes sometimes? Like, that's thousands of people who made this one thing. And it made it amazing because they had all that help. Both books talk about this guy named John Bowlby. He was a British psychiatrist who made the groundwork for this attachment theory. Particularly, he noticed in his own life, like, he grew up in a well-off British family, so he was sent off away from his parents for his formative years. So, like, he was brought up by nannies, and then he only saw his parents for, like, dinner and dessert, like, every day, and then he went off to boarding school and, went to college in Cambridge. So, like, his whole life, he was raised by everyone but his parents. And he began to recognize this pattern that people who didn't have a significant attachment as they were growing up, children who had this emotional deprivation, who were like separated from their parents or didn't have a secure attachment while they were young, just struggled in life. They were delinquents. I did that in air quotes. They were thieves and ruffians and just like the worst peeps. And essentially, it wasn't their fault because he did all these studies to try and prove that we need secure attachments. He tried it one way in the 50s in Britain, that if your child was sick and they needed to go to the hospital, they literally dropped them off at the hospital and they forced the parents out. They believed that the children would do better without their parents there. Like, I cannot even imagine like dropping off my nephew who's almost 1.5 now and just leaving him there in the hospital. And like, imagine like the stress that would put on the child. Like I'm almost crying about this. Like, I can't imagine just leaving him there. That's awful. And him having to face that alone. Like, and that's what they did. It's crazy to me. And so there was this documentary made where they filmed this young girl who's 2 and she just had to go to the hospital by herself. The Society of Psychology or whatever it was in Britain was like, "You're crazy, Bowlby." Like, no, they're fine. They just need, anybody who's coddled will grow up to be needy and clingy as they get older. Like, this idea that like, if you gave any comfort to a child that they would never grow up, that they would just not be able to be a self-sufficient human being. If you coddled them, if you comforted them, if you taught them how to emotionally regulate their things, their systems. So it's like, what? Kesco, what? Absolutely not. So he tried to show it and they were like, "You're crazy." So then he did this. He was like, he literally almost got kicked out of his psychologist society for like trying to go against the norm, which the norm was like, nope, survival of the fittest. Children need to be left alone without their parent. Like, it's just crazy to me. And that was the 50s. So later he does this experiment where they would bring a mother and a child in, and the mother would leave the room for a short time and then come back. They filmed the reactions of the children. And they would do this. So probably like 3 or 4 times the mother would come back and leave, come back and leave. So this is some of the results of this experiment. So the majority of children are upset when their mothers walk out. They rock themselves, they cry, throw toys, but some of them prove more emotionally resilient. They calm themselves quickly and effectively, reconnect easily with their mothers on their return, and rapidly resume playing while checking to make sure that their moms are still around. They seem confident that their mothers will be there if needed. Less resilient youngsters, however, are anxious and aggressive or detached and distant on their mother's return. The kids who can calm themselves usually have warmer, more responsive mothers, while the moms of the angry kids are unpredictable in their behavior, and the moms of detached kids are colder and dismissive. In these simple studies of disconnection and reconnection, Bowlby saw love in action and began to code its patterns. So isn't that interesting? And in the attached book, it also talks about this exact same experiment. And it talked about that, like, the children who were braver and more confident in going about playing with the toys did so because they knew their mother was in the room and they had a secure attachment. So all they had, like, they got into the toys quicker, but all they had to do was just like check, oh, my mom's there. It's fine. I'm good. I know she's going to be there for me. They had this secure attachment, so they just like went into playing with the toys. Whereas the other ones were like, oh, my mom's here. Like, I'm not sure how she's going to react. So I don't think I should play with the toys because she might be mad at me if I do. Like, I don't know if I'm allowed to. Like, all these things. The point of John Bowlby and all of his research, if I were to sum it up, is to say that just as we had secure attachments as children with our parents, hopefully, or with a caregiver of some type, whoever that was, you had like several secure attachments, you still need that as an adult. And like, your parents aren't going to be around forever. So like, we need secure attachments. And it is unfair to ask one person to meet all of your emotional, physical, intimate needs. Like, it's just impossible. But yes, in a love relationship, they will probably meet the majority of them, of your needs, but like, we need community. You need other people's. We need to be interdependent on others to meet our needs and to meet their needs. Like, all are uplifted when we're meeting each other's needs. So there is a healthy dependence called interdependence. And then there's the unhealthy dependence, which is called codependence and counterdependence. So counterdependence is this idea that like, I need no one. I thrive on my own. Like, literally, there are studies that babies died if they were just born and then like nobody touched them, nobody hugged them, nobody told them they were loved. Like, they literally died in droves. Like, that's how bad it was. This is like the 1800s, somewhere around there. Yeah, we are social beings. We literally have human needs of social connection. We will die without it. I want to talk about interdependence, healthy dependence that is essential for our survival, for our needs to be met. I watched this amazing video by Heidi Priebe again. She's great. I'm going to link it down below and she can go into further detail on these points. We all have needs, socially, intimate, physical, emotional needs. They all need to be met somehow, but they need to be met in healthy ways. So that means setting clear boundaries when you have a relationship with someone, whatever that relationship is, friendship, romantic, blah, blah, blah. You need clear boundaries so that both can benefit safely and hopefully thrive, not just safely, but then like thrive in that relationship. So, for example, if we put it in the context of work, so I go to work as a dental hygienist. They are paying me to clean people's teeth. There are clear sets of boundaries. I need to be there at a certain time. I need to be there at 9 a.m. I work till 5 usually. And when I'm there, I need to like take x-rays. I need to clean people's teeth. I need to make sure all the paperwork's right. So they're depending on me to provide that service, but I'm depending on them for my money, because I have the need of money. So we have made an agreement. I sign a contract. I know what the clear boundaries are within that working relationship. So it's interdependent because they're depending on me and I'm depending on them. So the same is said in any other of your relationships, in your friendships. I have, let's say, to feel loved, I need hugs. So I have friends who love giving me hugs and I go to them for those hugs. So we have this mutual interdependence where every time I see them, or like my mom, I get hugs from every time I see my mom, I get a hug from my mom and I feel loved. And hopefully she feels loved too. Well, I know she does. So I'm outsourcing that need and to be fulfilled, and we have clear boundaries. Like, for example, I have another friend who doesn't really like hugs, so I always try to ask her if she would like a hug or if it's okay that I hug her. Or I ask if, like, is it okay if you give me a hug? Because I don't want to pressure her. I don't want to push her past her boundaries to give me a hug. So we have clear boundaries that makes the relationship interdependent. that I need her for a hug and she needs me. I can give emotional support. If they don't want a hug, I can sit there and listen. So we're meeting each other's needs interdependently. The way dependence can cause problems is codependency. Okay, so codependency is when you both need the other to feel a certain way in order for me to feel okay myself. So if they're in a bad mood, I'm in a bad mood. Only until they're okay, I'm okay. So literally I'm putting all my emotional control into their control basically, and that's when codependency is bad. It's like when you wake up and you're like, oh my gosh, they didn't text me, like what have I done wrong? Like, oh, they're not communicating with me well, like where just like your whole day is ruined because they didn't talk to you that day. That would be a codependent and an unhealthy expectation, especially if you didn't have a conversation of like, I need you to communicate clearly with me. Like, yes, if you don't have time to talk to me in that moment, please just say like, hey, so sorry, I can't talk right now. I will talk to you later when I'm free. Like, that's all I needed for me not to freak out for the whole freaking day. So like, there are signs of codependence, okay? Another way we can have a bad type of dependence is if we outsource certain needs to people who did not agree to meet those needs for you. So for the work example, it would be inappropriate for them to have me start doing fillings and root canals because I am not a dentist. It would be unfair for me to start doing fillings because I have no idea how to do that. And so they cannot depend on me for that. And so they're going to have to find a dentist to do those things at work. And the same with our emotional needs or romantic needs. Like, let's say I'm making out with this guy and we're having a fun time. So we make out several times and I'm like, I start to catch feelings. And then he's like, no, I thought we were just having fun. I don't actually want to date you. So then I have to reevaluate, okay, like I need to get my emotional needs met somewhere else. So I can go and have my emotional needs met by my best friend who I like tell everything to, or like my family. But like this guy, I obviously cannot rely on. I can't have an interdependent emotional relationship with him, but like I can get my physical makeout needs met by him. So yeah, if there's going to be any interdependence, like there needs to be clear boundaries set. You need to understand what it is appropriate to depend on people for. You know what's cool about interdependence though, and this is how you know it's healthy, is that like, yes, that person is meeting a specific need, but like if they weren't meeting it anymore, you would be okay. You could find someone else to be dependent on that need. So for example, in the makeout example, like, yes, he was meeting my makeout need for a time, but like, I'm totally cool with just finding someone else to make out with. And I'm totally okay. Like it had nothing to do with my worth because I wasn't tying my worth to our makeout sessions. He was just fulfilling a need that I had. So interdependence can really help romantic relationships especially grow, especially when kids get involved. Like you're basically creating this interdependent life where you're pooling resources. Like both of your incomes go to the family unit, to your kids, to all these things, and you create boundaries so that you can have this interdependent relationship. So if you've agreed that, let's say the woman is gonna be the sole breadwinner for the home, so she goes out to work and the dad agrees to watch the kids, like, and if that's a working relationship for you, or maybe you've set these boundaries where you both work, and you have a joint account, or you both work and you have separate accounts, and that's how it works. Like you just have to both be okay and clear with the boundaries that you set within the relationship to create that interdependence. And I just think that's so cool that you can grow together as you find ways to be interdependent on each other. And what's also cool, like hopefully you stay together and it's a great time, amazing, like great deal. But like if that interdependence, like if that relationship doesn't work out, then like you can just separate those things and get those needs met somewhere else. I hope that makes sense. And I hope too as well that yes, most likely you are going to have probably a romantic partner who meets the majority of your needs, but it is very important to remember that they cannot meet all of your needs. It's unrealistic, and it would put this crazy pressure on that person to meet all of your needs, physically, mentally, emotionally, intimately. So we need to have other relationships, because as social creatures, we need to create a community of where you can outsource those needs. For example, say I'm married. I come home and I vent to my husband every night. And then I come home one night and he's like, I'm so sorry, babe. Like, I really can't listen tonight. It's been a long day and I just need to be by myself. And so my need to vent wasn't met. But so then I just call my best friend and I'm like, yo, can I vent to you about my day? And then so I have other people I can rely on who can help me fulfill my needs. So it's also important to have strategies to either self-soothe, so meet that need on my own, or have other caregivers or significant others or awesome relationships that you can get your needs met. And of course, to remember that there are some needs, they're like self needs that you need to figure out on your own. So for example, the need of like high self-esteem, that's my job. You need to know what your jobs are, like the things that you need to work on, like your shadow work, like me figuring out my worth, like so that I can come back to the table as a stronger person to elevate our together relationship, that me taking the time to take care of my health will enrich my other relationships. So like my friendships or my romantic relationship. So knowing when the need is yours is important, like yours to fix, like you can self-soothe, you can comfort yourself. Like, let's just say my husband couldn't let me vent about it. So instead of just venting, I just go for a run and like decompress from my day and get it out physically, or just like walk it out, or lift some weights, or like punch, do some boxing or do some yoga. Like that, there are ways I can self-soothe to meet my own emotional needs. So that's what's really cool about interdependence. Like, you'll know it's healthy when, like, if the other person couldn't meet it, you could meet it either by yourself or by a different person can meet that need. So that's how you know you have healthy interdependence, that you're not codepending on someone where your whole life is just tied to the other person's emotions and feelings, and how they treat you just rules your whole day. If you're in that type of situation, like, yeah, not great. And that's like a whole nother episode I'll probably do eventually. But I just, for the purposes of attachment and attachment styles and attachment theory that we're going to get into for these next couple of episodes, I really hope you remember that interdependence is a healthy part of life, that it's okay to need others. Like I said before, the strongest people I know, no one asks for help. They know how to outsource their needs in healthy ways. And personally for me, life is just so much happier when I get to share it with people I love and who I care about. So I hope that you really think about, who are your significant others in your life today. Your work this week is to recognize who your significant others are, and I need you to have more than one. So let's say I want you to write down 3 peeps who are your significant others, who you are interdependent on. And then I want you to think of a scenario where you have a need. So for me, let's just say, who can I go to when I need a hug? I'm going to write down the people who I can go to. So I want you to do that. So write down the 3 people you're interdependent on who can meet that need. And then secondly, I want you to write down, what can I do if this need cannot be met? So what are your strategies to meet that need, to self-soothe? So for me, if I cannot get a hug from one of my peeps, I do have cats, so I'm going to snuggle my cats. And if I didn't snuggle my cats, what else could I do? I'd probably honestly watch a comfort show and just have one of my favorite drinks and watch something that makes me laugh or is comforting to me. So like Pride and Prejudice or She's the Man makes me laugh. Just a feel-good movie. So just to reiterate, what is the need that you need met? Who are the 3 people that can meet that need? And then what are the strategies that you will do to self-soothe if the people cannot be there to meet that need? Okay, so I hope you have such a great time learning how to better meet your needs and learning that it's okay to be interdependent. It's okay to depend on people. It's totally great. We need people and they need you. And I hope you remember that you are so needed and that you are so loved. Okay, if you want to ask any questions or just send me a chat, I'd love to hear from you. You can find me at Trust Your Worth Podcast on Instagram or at the website at www.trustyourworth.com. If no one has told you today, you are someone's significant other. You mean the world to so many people. And as always, don't forget to trust your worth. Okay, thanks so much for listening. Have a great day. Love you. Bye.